Okay, happy Wednesday, everybody. Doing a little change up here. I know we've been doing webinars on Thursdays a lot. This is Ed Crowe. Thanks for coming on. Good crowd today. New names, which is nice. And today we're going to go over Medicare leads. Our webinars, for those who haven't been on before, they're usually 15 minutes, 20 minutes. In fact, sometimes we're done when people are still getting on. So I don't think that'll happen today. We're going to go over a lot of material today, so it'll take a little longer. I'll try to talk fast, however, a little quicker than normal anyway. I'm usually pretty slow with how I talk through this stuff, but today I'm going to move a little with a little swifter pace. So a couple things for those who haven't been on before. We do record all these webinars. We put the recordings on YouTube, so we have over 100 of them on there on a variety of topics. So if you want to watch any of those, you can either Google YouTube Crowe and Associates, or just in the URL, just search at Crowe Medicare if you want to look at all the different webinars. I don't know why, maybe there's a specific topic you want to see, but this one will be up there as well. Other thing is, anybody who registers for our webinars, whether you attend or not, we'll send you the recording, so you will get that. If you have any questions, send them in. I will answer at the end. Again, I always say this on every one of them, but I'm just not, unfortunately, not talented enough to answer questions and kind of stay focused on the webinar at the same time. But I promise you, hang in there. I will answer them for you at the end. And other than that, I think we'll get started here. So today we're going to go over Medicare leads. Probably the question we get the most often is, well, what can I do for leads? I know you have a lead program. It's flexible, but I'm not sure what to do. So today we're going to go over a variety of type of leads. I'm going to mention some vendor names. That does certainly not mean you have to use them, or those are the only vendors. It's just some of the ones that I know people use. So having said that, let's get started. So Medicare sales, I think the biggest thing I always say is Medicare sales is an education and it's marketing. Medicare sales is not an emotional sale, so it's not like selling something else. So we'll talk about that a little bit. We'll talk about the easiest way to get sales, and then we'll go over the lead types: mailers, referral arrangements with other businesses, which can be a gold mine if done correctly. I see there's a question that came in. I'll answer that question. Anyway, I will answer the questions at the end. So we're going to go over referral arrangements with other businesses, which can be a gold mine. Seminars, we have a turnkey seminar program. Online leads, we'll talk about websites, SEO, and social media. Inbound calls, we will go over warm transfers, although those don't seem to be long for this world. Retail and other tabletop opportunities. And then just at the end of all this, just a couple random tips and things that come up often. Some of them are things that I wish I had done better when I was building my book, so maybe you can avoid the dumb mistakes I made. And again, we got a lot of people coming on as I'm talking here, so I'll answer questions at the end. And yes, the webinar will be recorded, and you will be emailed a copy of it. Or you can go on YouTube at Crowe Medicare and watch it. Okay, so as I was mentioning earlier, Medicare is a marketing business. So it's not like final expense, life annuities, and most other products that we consider an emotional sale. Because with those products, people don't have to buy it. So you have the challenge of getting in front of them in the first place, and then you have to make an emotional pitch as to why they should get the product when it's something they don't necessarily need, they don't have to have. So really with Medicare, that isn't a problem. I mean, these people are in most cases going to do something. I guess the closest analogy is Medicare is similar to auto and home business. So I just get a lot of people who say to me, Ed, when I get in front of Medicare people, I close them. I want to get in front of more people, and I'm, I try not to be sarcastic, but I want to say, yeah, I mean, everybody does. Once you get in front of them, if you know Medicare fairly well and you've got a decent ability to explain it to them, I mean, you're probably going to get a sale out of it if it calls for one. So really, the challenge with Medicare is education, being able to educate people in a concise manner, a simple manner that they can understand. So you've got to know it. To do that, You have to know the products, the rules, everything incredibly well yourself. I've always found that you got to know it really well yourself in order to explain it in a simple manner to others. And then it's just getting the opportunity. So that's the marketing aspect of it. Really is. So I always tell people, and I tried to do this as I kind of grew the book and later in my career, I tried to think of this as just how am I going to market, really more than how am I going to sell. So we're going to go over a lot of leads today. And again, you get a lot of people who comment and say, well, I'm looking for leads that are easy, or the best leads, or the ones that I can enroll without a lot of hassle. And when you find that, let me know. I've been doing this since 2000. That's not out there. I mean, Medicare, if you're going to work leads that initially were cold, bringing in new clients, I mean, they're going to be hard work. So there are not easy ones. There aren't great leads. Trust me on this. I tried. And one other thing I'll tell you, you can maybe avoid what I did, and I know a lot of other agents that do this. You'll start working through different types of leads. You'll find one that works, where the math works, it's profitable, replicatable, and you can make it happen. But for some reason, with most of us, there's this little voice in our head that says, find something better, find something better. And we won't pour all our effort into the thing that works. We kind of half-assed are looking for something even better. And that's a big negative for us. And I wasted a lot of time always looking for something a little better instead of just pouring more effort into something that I already had that was working. Anyhow, when we start talking about leads, the first thing I'll mention is referrals. Out of all of this is the easiest thing. I know everybody says referrals, but I lived it. I mean, I sold forever. I still do when I have to once in a blue moon. Referrals are by far the easiest of anything else I'm going to talk about. I mean, so I said here, referral rant continued. So maybe if you're lucky enough and you have an existing book, getting referrals from your own existing clients. If you don't have a book, maybe you've got access to an old book you used to work. Maybe you can access somebody else's book. Getting referrals from other professionals, centers of influence, family members, friends, anybody that'll listen to what you're blabbering about. If you can get referrals, that is the easiest sale you'll ever get. It's the cheapest sale you'll ever get. The cost per acquisition on that is about as good as it gets. And then one of the reasons Medicare refers so well is people love to talk about it. You don't hear a lot of people talking about their life insurance policy or their annuity or anything like that, but boy, they'll talk about Medicare a lot. So, push the referral part. Referrals from other lines of business. So if you have your own other line of business, maybe you're also an auto and home agent, maybe you know somebody that's great. But we'll talk a little more on that later. So if you're lucky enough to have access to a book, or you have your own client base, regardless, when you start getting referrals, give them a referral gift every single time. Doesn't matter if you close it or not. So the point is, you want to encourage them to give you more. So if they give you a referral and it's a real referral, the person actually wants to meet with you, whether you close it or not, send them a referral gift. The CMS max for a referral gift to another Medicare beneficiary is $15. When I first started doing referral gifts, I gave $15, and then I got a little cheap and experimented with $10 and found that it didn't make a difference. $10, switching it from $15 to $10 didn't change the amount of referrals I got, but giving a referral gift certainly did. And when you meet with people, let them know, encourage them, and let them know that you do provide a referral gift. You can do that now. It's totally compliant to do so. So let them know you provide one. What do you do for a referral gift? I mean, people do tons of stuff. I personally did a Dunkin' Donuts card, and what I liked about that Dunkin' Donuts card was it had my agency name and my phone number on it. I know, Starbucks is obviously a little fancier, even though, by the way, I hate their coffee. It's overcooked, and just, I know I'm in the minority there. But anyway, but Starbucks wouldn't put your name or phone number on the card, last time I checked anyway. And also, just get in the habit of, Every time you meet with somebody, ask them for referrals and come up with a nice or passive way to do it if you want. You don't have to grill them. Just mention to them that, you're looking for new clients, you're happy to help people. Plant that seed in their head that you're looking for referrals. I think you'd be shocked to know how many agents don't ask for them or don't even mention the fact that they want any or are willing to work with other people. But you really should do that every time you transact business or even when you don't. And again, I'm going to go a little faster than normal today just so I can get through all the information. Okay, so referrals are great. If you've got access to a book, wonderful, but you're probably still going to need a standard lead strategy. So here we go. We'll start with mailers. Believe it or not, there's still a lot of people that do mail, and mail still works. If you haven't done mail, the common practice for it is to work with a vendor, and they will drop 1,000 pieces at a time. The price varies a little bit, but it's around $500 total cost. So they'll run the list, they'll drop the mail, they'll send you the response cards, and it'll cost you, give or take, $500. What you do is you drop per 1,000, and you hope you get a good response rate. In today's day and age, 3% is considered a good response. So meaning you spend $500, vendor sends out 1,000 pieces of mail, you get 30 of them back. That's considered pretty good. There's a couple types of mail drops you can do, and you don't have to do 1,000, by the way. I mean, you can drop. We have agents that drop 6, 7, 8,000 at a time. We have agents that drop 4,000 a month. I mean, it just depends on what you want to do. But the two types are, first of all, is T65. It's probably the most common one now, I would say. And the thing to avoid is dropping mail to people turning 65 in the next 6 months. If you do that, don't let the vendor talk you into it. Don't talk yourself into it. If you drop mail to people turning 65 in the next 6 months, you're going to get a 0.5% response or less. You need to go out 7 to 10 months in order to have a chance for a 3% response rate. Sometimes a little better. But the reason for this is all the insurance carriers start mailing everybody within 6 months of turning 65. And the lead vendors themselves that are selling leads, they usually start mailing people 7 to 8 months out. So I think you should go 7 to 12 months out. We've found that that's your best response rate right now. We have some agents that even go up to 12 months out. The average person, there's been a lot of studies on this, and the average person starts thinking about Medicare at age 64 when they're around their 64th birthday. Of course, if you're dropping mail to people that far out to get a better response rate, you're going to get responders that are 7, 10, 12 months away from turning 65. You won't be able to write them yet, but you got to keep them in the pipeline. And to make that strategy work, you really need to drop every month. So then when the cat catches its tail, you're dropping every month, and you've got every month then people turning 65, and you've got the funnel keeps getting filled every month you drop. Certainly, it isn't just T65s. There's other strategies for mail. I mean, there's tons of dual mailers out there that go out, for dual people on Medicaid, QMBs, looking to put them in a full dual plan or maybe a QMB plan or a combo. There's LIS mailers that go out, dental mailers, and then when you send them out a mailer for dental, you got to do the pivot and try to convert over to Medicare. Anyway, there's tons of them. If you want to find one that draws well, you got to experiment with them, and you just got to be ready for some stinkers. You might have a dual mailer that you think is going to be wonderful, and you get a 1% response from it. But when you find something that pulls 2.5%, 3%, stick with it if you want to go that way. I prefer T65s. I find they're a lot more predictable, but certainly there's opportunity and tons of people that do all kinds of drops, not focusing on people turning 65. When you work with a vendor, I'll throw some names at you here in a minute, but when you work with a vendor, make sure you question them about what they're dropping. Especially, I just get so many agents that call the vendor and they're like, yeah, let's drop people turning 65 in the next 3 months. You got to ask questions like, okay, well, first of all, that's a mistake if they talk you into it. But when you work with these vendors, ask them what they're getting on a response rate for the type of mailers you're talking about and hope that they're going to be honest about it. But again, you're going to have to figure that out, but certainly feel free to question them prior to doing a drop. So when you get the reply card from the mailer, the average agent calls them 2 times. The problem with that is the average prospect usually is contacted. You get a hold of them on the 5th to 7th call. So the point being, people get mail responders and they don't work them to the extent they should in order to make them be successful. If you're going to call mail, you got to be good on the phone. Just because you call Sue up, she sent a card back, and you say, "Hey, Sue, I'm calling. I got your card." She's not going to say, "Hey, get on over here." You got to be good on the phone. You got to be persistent to make mail work. We certainly have scripts you can use for mail responders. I would suggest not following a script. I would come up in practice. I'd come up with one on your own. Practice it. It must sound really natural. And the one piece of advice I can give you is keep it very casual. You don't want to be super businesslike. Track every single lead you get and keep it. And call it until a situation changes, until you get a hold of them. It takes persistence. If you don't have a CRM for mail, you can get away with an Excel file, but if you're dropping every month, after a while, that's going to get probably pretty overwhelming and kind of sloppy. So if you're really going to get into mail and drop consistently, work it hard, then you probably should have a CRM. So vendors, I promised I'd mention some vendors for these different strategies. For mail, there are a lot of them. 3 common ones we hear that people use that work are Lead Concepts, Target Leads, and Arm Leads. Those are 3 of many. There's a lot of them, but there's 3 of them right there. We do have a lead program, as I mentioned before. I think a lot of you on this call know that. This is a mail drop's perfect. We'll reimburse up to $500 a month towards the cost. Now, if you're dropping 3,000 pieces a month, well, you're going to have 1,000 out of pocket there, but we'll take 500 off. So you definitely should submit to our lead program. All you have to do is send your paid receipts to lisa@croweandassociates.com. We will reimburse you the same month that we get them. We have some requirements for our lead program. If you're not familiar with them, you can just go on we can send you information about it. You can go on our YouTube channel and check it out. Okay, referral sources. We're going to talk about this one. So referral sources just don't have to be from your own clients. It can be from other agents and businesses. And this strategy, if you develop these kind of relationships, can be the best and the easiest option. And the first thing I'd suggest, if you want to find good referral sources from other agents, is talk to agents that don't sell Medicare. Good examples of that are auto and home agents and agencies. They a lot of times are, just doing auto and home, but they definitely have a lot of people that are turning 65 in their book, and they have certainly a lot of people that are already 65. And what's great about them is they have very good CRMs, so they can easily run reports of people that are turning 65 and when. When you talk to them, ask who they're referring their Medicare business to. You'll find about half the time they are referring it out to somebody, and when they say, "Oh, we already refer that out," ask them how much the person is paying them when they sell something. Usually the answer there is nothing. Or, they send me a pie, or, they gave me a bottle of whiskey. Okay, well, what you tell them is, well, I pay $100 for every sale I make. And you can compliantly do that. So remember the CMS rules. A $15 max referral gift for an existing Medicare beneficiary, but for another business professional, you can pay $100 a sale. And if you get that opportunity from a PNC agency to give you leads, give them the $100 all day long. Keep in mind your average cost per acquisition is around $150 on a lead program. That's about, on average, believe it or not, what agents wind up paying cost per sale when they're buying leads. If you can give somebody $100 for a referral, you don't have to work your butt off for it. It's an easy sale. It makes sense, and give it to them all day long. It's a bargain. The biggest problem with this strategy is when people get this relationship, it happens way more than you would think. It happens more often than it doesn't. is they forget to pay the referral fee to the auto and home agent or agency. The auto and home agency has to chase them for it. They get pissed off and they start giving them leads. So if you get one of these deals, they want to do it. When you make a sale, make sure you pay them promptly. Everybody's probably saying, oh, who wouldn't do that? Most don't, to answer the question. Other people to do the same thing with, ACA agents, a big one. ACA business, and I mean, if you want to get in the ACA, you start writing ACA yourself. It's an excellent referral source for Medicare because those people are going to turn 65, and often you're enrolling people in their 60s already anyway. But ACA agents that don't write Medicare business, financial planners are good ones. Final expense agents. Got a lot of clients that are 65 or older, and sometimes they're just ignoring the Medicare opportunity. Accountants, lawyers, basically anyone that sells things or services or works with seniors is a good way. And if you can get some relationships, start paying them and get them to give you referrals, that'll be the easiest and best lead source you ever have. Okay, we're going to transition to the Turning 65 seminar program. So we have a turnkey program for this. Seminars, that was one of my main things, is I liked seminar selling. So we have a program. We use a company, a vendor. They drive all the attendance for our agents. We do a lot of these seminars. We average about 55 prospects per seminar, sometimes a little lower, sometimes much higher. We've been in the 130s for a seminar. What's nice about T65 seminars, and we do them on an educational basis, by the way. What's nice about these is they're new to Medicare. So the people you're enrolling, they're new to Medicare. If you're writing them in Advantage plans, they're new to Advantage. So you're getting the full commission. It's not prorated, and the renewal starts in January. If you have no idea what I'm talking about with that commission part, watch our Medicare commissions webinar on YouTube. And again, it's at Crowe Medicare. I have a couple of them, but it's just explaining Medicare Advantage commissions. And it clearly explains why writing people new to Medicare is more profitable. And the later in the year it gets, the more profitable it gets for you. If you want to do seminars, we have all the best practices for them. We've had so many agents do them. I've done a ton of them. I would definitely have the experience with it. So we have the best practices. We have presentations. We can help you with the cost of the seminar. And if you do them right, you will average 15 to 20 enrollments. Now, it won't be immediate. When you do a T65 seminar, these people are turning 65 in anywhere from 2 to 7 months from now. But over the course of time, over 3 or 4 months, you should hit that number for your sales. The negative of seminars, like anything, is you need to do a ton of follow-up. The people will show up and maybe they're going to still work for a while. Maybe they're not turning 65 for 5 months. Once they show up, you do a great seminar. That's where the work comes in, is staying in touch, staying in their mind until that time they get where you can enroll them. The seminar program is nice as well because you can do it every single month all year round, and it's replicatable. You can do it over and over all month if you want, or all 12 months of the year if you want. The cost for it is about $2,400. We will pay half of that for your first one, so you can try it. So $2,400. You pay the vendor, who will suggest and tell you who it is and get you set up with them. And then you send us the paid receipt, and we'll send you a reimbursement for half of that cost. The carriers will help with cost too. Since these are educational seminars, you serve a meal. People always say to me, well, what if I don't serve the meal? We've had plenty of people try that. You'll get about a third of the attendance without it. So serve a meal. Remember, $15 max on the meal. And the carriers, there's a number of carriers out there that will pay for some, if not all, of that meal cost. And they'll help with other aspects, some of that $2,400 too sometimes. People are thinking to themselves, well, that's pretty expensive, but you got to do the math. Really, it's not how much does it cost, it's how much does it cost per acquisition, per sale. So if you take the national CMS max rate, which is lower obviously than some of the states, but I just wanted to kind of be conservative with this. The national rate for a new sale is $601. You do 15 enrollments. That's going to be $9,015, and your renewal is going to start in January. So if you do a seminar and enroll a ton of people in September, October, November, December, you're going to get full commission on them, no pro rata, and then you're almost going to get paid twice because the renewal will start in January. And if you do 15 sales, you've suddenly created a renewal income of $4,500 for yourself. So you really got to look at Medicare like it's a renewal business, because it is. It's a big picture thing. I know, today's day and age, a lot of people get caught up in how much am I making initially, but really the way to look at the Medicare business is it's a long-term thing. It's one of the few businesses in sales where you can build up a huge book, and then you don't have to keep selling every day. It's going to be recurring revenue. And quick math tells us you got 1,000 clients on the books. That's going to be $301,000 of recurring revenue. And we have a ton of agents that have 1,000 or more clients on the books. So unlike other types of sales where you got to keep doing it over and over, you build a big Medicare book, and it's gonna have money rolling in whether you're on vacation or selling more plans. And also Medicare books are incredibly valuable to sell. Okay, enough of me going on the seminar thing. We have a best practices YouTube video on seminar selling. So if you want to know what are the best practices, that's only about a 20-minute one, and I lay them all out in that video on our YouTube channel. Online leads. So online leads have died down in popularity a bit. I think the reason is the quality of them has gone down. You get a lot more bad leads than you used to. A lot more people that were offered a brownie if they filled their information out. But they still work. People still use them. You buy them from a vendor, and I think it's best to try to find a small vendor. But I said I'd mention names. So a couple examples of them are InsureMe, NextGen, Nectar, Lead Heroes. But when you're buying online leads, you really got to do Google searches, go down to page 4 or 5, find some of these smaller companies that will work with you, and sometimes you can find much better deals than the big national guys will give you. The way an online lead works is basically somebody who's theoretically getting near Medicare age. They go online, they try to get a quote. They don't read the small print. They enter their information to get a quote, and it says, "Bing, we got you. An agent will be calling you for a quote," and you authorize that agent to give you a call in the small print below. The company then takes that information and they sell it to us as the agent. And the cost for these leads range from $7 to $15 a lead. They just email you over the information. A lot of times they're real time. That person just entered their info. Yeah, they're probably a little annoyed. They got fooled, but it's a lead, and they are in most cases looking for something. Medicare, the timing should be right. Shared leads mean that same lead is sent out to 4, 5, 6 agents at the same time. Exclusive leads, which are just sent to one agent, those prices are all over the board. You just got to really work on getting a low price on exclusives. But usually exclusives are not exclusive. The reason being is somebody goes on, they enter their information, company sells it to you as an exclusive lead. That's fine. They only send it to you. The problem is the average consumer enters their information in 2 different spots. So that exclusive lead more than half the time is actually not going to be. If you want to work online leads, you got to be set up and ready to work them if you want to have any type of success. So this is a sell from home, over the phone strategy when you work online leads. Doesn't work as well if you get an online lead and then you're trying to meet with the people. It's better if you're going to work these online leads at home in front of your computer and sell them by phone. If you're going to get set up to do it, you need a CRM. For online leads, I really think you do. I don't think you can't use an Excel file for this. Examples of CRMs, there's a ton of them, and I just threw a couple quick on here, but Radius, they call themselves Radius Bob for some reason. Go High Level, that's GHL. A Less Annoying CRM, and that is the real name of it. Those are a couple. But they're all over the place. Not to poo-poo Salesforce, I just think they're kind of expensive. And I think one of these options, even that I put up here, do what Salesforce does, and it costs a lot less. So you got to have auto email. A lot of times you can get that through the CRM, one of those ones I mentioned there. It helps to have click to call or auto answer, because when this lead comes in, especially if it's a shared lead, you got to be having a call go out to them within a second or two of it coming in. So if the idea of, I'm going to be on the road and I'll call this lead when I get back, you're not going to sell anything. There's other people that are sitting there at their computer all set up for a call to go out the second it comes in. And the first one that gets to them usually wins. You got to track all the leads when you do this. You will get a lot of bad ones, people who are shopping for a car or looking to get a discount on apples. So you got to save those bad ones because you can send them back to the company for a credit. And if you do online leads, a good close rate with online leads is considered 10% is considered a good closing rate. Okay, we'll do inbound calls. There are too many vendors, too many people, not even big national vendors. I mean, they come out of the woodwork. If you do a simple Google search, you can find inbound call volume from 1 million people. I was at the Medicarians event in Vegas last week. Huge event, by the way. I think I had a guy come into me and he's like, hey, came up to me and said, do you need inbound calls? And I said, you are about the 15th person that has come and asked me that. So you can get inbound call volume from anywhere. If you do decide to get it, you got to have a good pitch. I mean, it's inbound. It's going to be a phone sale. So you got to have a good pitch and you got to be natural with it. And that's one of those things where you got to practice. I just get a lot of people, and I probably did it myself even, where you get set up, you got these inbound calls coming and you didn't practice. You didn't, get a pitch natural and ready to go. You got to prepare for these. A lot of the same things as online leads. But you're getting an inbound call, you got to be prepared to enroll over the phone. You need to know the plans with the best benefits and especially the best extra benefits, dental, vision, over-the-counter, grocery card, those kind of things. Got to be ready to go with that and just know it for the area that you're doing the calls for. Of course, the CRM, you got to have, because of the new CMS rules, the recording, a script in a phone enrollment system. And obviously, you could use a Connector, Sunfire. For inbound calls, pure phone salespeople like to use one of those systems, but the one that's really set up the best for an inbound for pure phone enrollment is my Medicare bot. That was developed by a call center, and that's pure voice enrollment for the scope and the enrollment. So you have compliant calls for MA on inbound versus calls for supplements versus not compliant in any way calls. You're going to get, if you want to get call volume, you're going to have people from all over the place offering to provide you with calls, and some will be doing it compliantly, some will have compliant MA, some will be not even checking do not call list. It's the Wild West. So you need to do some due diligence and take some caution when you're buying inbound call volume. Warm transfer leads, or if you're not familiar, that's basically where a call center has talked to the person first and then they transfer them over to you. There are more compliance issues now with companies providing them, so you're not seeing as many of them. You're more seeing the inbound where the person finds something online, they get some information, they then pick up the phone and dial a number that's going straight to you. That's an inbound call. Warm transfers, where the agency warms them up first and transfers them over. There's still plenty of them out there, but you are starting to see that, and especially in the next couple of years, you'll see the warm transfers won't be as readily available. Then you have recorded callback leads. So those are the least inexpensive. You can get those for $8 to $10 a piece if you look hard enough. And that's basically a call center, a lot of times overseas, just running a DNC list and calling people cold. Getting them on the phone, asking them some questions, recording that call and sending it over to you. You can't cold call for Advantage plans, so these are Med Sup calls. And you're going to have the highest failure rate with these, but at $10 a piece, we have agents with these that they'll get a 10 or 15, sometimes even approach 20% close rate. Well, the math will work. Have a simple, regardless of the type of call you want to do, though, have a simple script. We do have a CMS compliant enrollment script through my Medicare bot. It's built into the system. That has voice scope and enrollment through voice. And if you want an example of a compliant online lead, that's LeadStar. We can give you that information if you need it, and that's compliant for MA, inbound call, MA. And for their online, they have online leads as well, but there are a million vendors that provide both inbound call leads, warm transfers, and online leads. But LeadStar is a, so to speak, in-house vendor for us, and they are running compliant leads. Social media leads, we're getting there, guys. I know this is a long webinar. So a lot of people talk about social media leads. Facebook leads certainly will work. You can buy them from a vendor. If you buy Facebook leads from a vendor, they'll run you about $15. The only thing I've noticed is Facebook leads, while they work, they don't close at a super high percentage. The close ratio is fairly low. So if you're paying a vendor $15, $18 for them, the math isn't quite as attractive. It can work, don't get me wrong. And it's easy because you just tell the vendor you want them, you start paying and getting them. So it's quick. Long term for Facebook leads, I think the best way is to generate your own. I know some agents and agencies that have been doing that for years. You can then, if you're doing it on your own self-gen for Facebook, you can get it, your price point will be around $4 to $5, even lower sometimes. But if you're just looking to get started right away, you can certainly start with a vendor. But again, long term, doing them on your own is the best price point by far. We have a course available. It does cost money. You could submit it towards the lead program, but where it teaches you how to generate your own Facebook leads, but it's not something you're going to learn overnight. It's something you're going to have to kind of dig through for a week or so until you get comfortable, maybe even a little longer. But anyway, Facebook leads can work. Just wanted to explain the difference there. This is a long-term thing, but something that can be killer is a YouTube channel. A YouTube channel with a lot of video content can be a monster lead generator. If you don't believe me, just go online and look, and you'll see some of the big content, people putting up a lot of Medicare information for consumers, for Medicare beneficiaries. They're agents. And they'll have tons of YouTube videos, and sometimes they'll have 50, 60, 70,000 followers. YouTube channels can generate a lot of business, but it takes time and content. And you got to be willing to put yourself on a video and get on there and talk. Can't do what I'm doing, where you just see where I'm wimping out here, and you just see my PowerPoint, and I'm not on there. The people that do well on YouTube, their hands are going and they're talking, but they're providing good information, and it will work. But again, Google some stuff. There's some agents I even know that have big YouTube presences, and they enroll a lot of people every day from their YouTube channel. Other social media leads, believe it or not, people generate leads on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram. Some ones that I'm too old to even know about or know how to use for that matter, or probably even shouldn't be using. But it's people, if they put time and effort into it and good content, they will get enrollments through those platforms, even TikTok. Anyway, they're all used and can work, but it's the same deal as YouTube. It takes time to build that presence. So you're not going to get immediate sales from them, but long term, it can be a huge volume of sales. So people say, well, it's a lot of work. It's a lot of time. Is it worth it? Yeah, it is. It just isn't going to be, you're not going to make a lot of money initially. You probably want to have a quicker strategy in place as you build this one up. All right, let's hit websites. So, for example, we make free websites for agents. We'll put the Pearl, meaning the Medicare quote and enrollment system, right in the site for you. Build it at no cost. You just get your own URL, so you own the site, but that costs like $20 for 2 years. But what I can tell you is a website will help with prospects. When you talk to them, they'll go check your site out. It'll help you close sales. But a website on its own will not bring in business. Not without doing a lot of things with it. And if you talk to somebody who says that it will, well, they're full of shit, because it won't. You'll have to do something to generate volume. There's a lot of people trying to get Medicare consumers through their website. But it will help substantiate you and legitimize that you're out there and help you close existing people. If you want to drive volume to a website, there's a number of ways to do it. For example, we blog. That's how we built our Crowe & Associates SEO. So you find us often on YouTube. That's from blogs. That's what's helped drive a lot of people to our website. I would recommend to get Medicare prospects, I'd recommend not paying a company for SEO optimization on your site. Usually it's a lot of money you spend and you don't get much for it. Maybe somebody's got an example of where that has worked well and been profitable. I don't have one. An example of that, the only way I've found success is by blogging, blogging often with good content, and that can help with SEO. If you're interested in getting good results through Google search for your website, SEO is what I know, and that's how I, again, recruit agents through Crowe and how I get. So Crowe comes up a lot on search. I can help you with that. But again, that's not something that'll happen overnight. Okay, retail and tabletop, it does work. A lot of people do it. It's actually become very popular in the last few years especially. And kind of your imagination's the limit. Walmart, CVS, grocery stores, dollar stores, flea markets, food pantries, libraries, VFWs, basically anywhere where you can get a relationship or get in and get a table will work. But like all things, you got to be willing to put time into it. When you're going to do retail, I think the biggest thing that blows people up is, the idea of sitting there. They'll maybe go in a couple different days a week. They'll put in, 5-6 hours and say, I didn't get any enrollments. People who do retail and tabletop well put time into it. I have people that go to Walmart's, they get Walmart's, and they're there 40, 50, 60 hours a week. But you got to have consistent hours. You got to be patient. You got to be super helpful and cheerful. We just get a lot of people that get retail opportunities and they get in a fight with the manager, and it's just not going to work in your favor. People are grumpy these days. So if you go in there super helpful and cheerful, that'll take you a ways just on its own. If you're at a store with a pharmacy, get to know the pharmacist. Regardless of where you are, get to know the employees. Our best retail people will actually sell the employees, enroll them in Medicare plans, enroll their parents. Have great giveaways on your table, and have giveaways that people actually can use and need at places like food pantries. So we have agents that have tables at food pantries. They do really well, and they talk to the people at the food pantry, and their giveaways are things that those people there actually need in life. If you want to do Walmart, that is a bidding process that's controlled by Direct Health. Us as FMOs, we have access to that. We can put in bids for you for Walmart's. But the question is, how much longer will independent agents be in Walmart's? Well, I'm not sure. If I had to guess, I would think this might be the last year. Direct Health hasn't even put out the bidding process yet. We've heard nothing. It's been radio silence. And usually we've already started round one at this point. I'm not saying they won't have Walmart's this year. I think they will. I think there'll be less stores. I think there will be stores not available this year. And I would have a suspicion this may be the last year of it. CVSs are controlled by the Aetna agent managers. If you're in good with your Aetna agent manager, they can get you into a place like a CVS, other stores too. UHC agent managers control Walgreens. Just go on a tangent about broker managers for carriers for a minute. They can get you into various retail locations, like, again, Aetna for CVS, UHC for Walgreens, other carriers. Humana has various stores. There's a number of them. Grocery stores, if you get a good relationship with your agent manager, they can help you a lot. But you got to have that relationship for that to happen. You can even get RVs, access to their RVs if you're in good enough with them and they're happy enough with you. They can provide you with extra co-op. They can help with training. They can help with a lot of things. I think if you're in this business, you really should, the areas you work, get to know each carrier you sell, get to know the agent manager, the broker manager for that carrier well, and be on good terms with them, and they can help you out long term for sure. Other locations. So really any place there's Medicare eligible people could be a potential spot for a table or an event. You got to be creative and then create a relationship. So, it's not easy to get into libraries anymore. We have agents where the libraries say, you're the only agent we're allowing to do presentations here, and the library promotes them. Same thing with doctor's offices, housing authorities. If you work hard and develop some relationships, that can be a big opportunity for you. But I would say most people aren't willing to put in the work to go find those relationships, because you're going to get a lot of people that say, no, we already have somebody, we don't want you in here. But if you work at it, you'll find some, and they can pay off, really pay off for you. Okay, just about done here. So tips and random stuff. Writing ACA business is a really good Medicare lead source. And if you think about it, it's one of the few lead sources where you get actually paid for it. So listen, am I saying you should go tomorrow and write ACA business? No, it certainly has its negatives. However, I certainly know a lot of agents that do ACA and Medicare, and they write the ACA, they get paid for it. So it's almost like they're getting paid for Medicare leads because they write a lot of Medicare off of it as well. I had mentioned earlier, ACA agents are good ones to talk to because a lot of ACA agents don't write Medicare. Find the ones that don't. Just tell them you'll pay them for Medicare referrals. Here's the biggest one I did wrong, and I want you to avoid this. Keep the contact info for every single person you ever meet in this business. So maybe you meet with somebody and they've got the best plan, or they just love it and they won't come off it, or it really is the best Advantage plan, let's say, or the lowest cost supplement. I had a tendency where I wouldn't keep their information. You should keep that information. Let them know things are going to change for AEP. Set up a phone call right then. Don't lose that information. You couldn't enroll them that day, but you'll probably enroll them someday if you keep their information. Maybe you meet somebody who they're 62 years old. Tendency is just to move on. No, I keep their info. Let them know you'll call them when they're turning 65. Sounds silly, but 3 years will come quicker than you think. Call them at age 64 to kind of prep them, and then call them again when they're 6 months out and get that Medicare enrollment from them, but keep that information. In general, I would say track every client, every prospect that's within 5 years of Medicare. Keep track of them, keep them in a CRM, and then start enrolling them, calling them 6 to 8 months before they turn 65 and getting super easy enrollments. I didn't do that as well as I should have, and it cost me hundreds of enrollments. It really did. The reason I knew that is sometimes they just randomly call me. They cut my information and called me, but had I kept every person's information and called them, and it really explored that opportunity, I would have grown the book much quicker. Keep track of younger spouses. Same thing. Sometimes I'd have a spouse, I wrote the husband. 3 years later, 4 years later, 10 years later, the wife calls me and says, I'm turning 65. And I think to myself, I should have had your information. I should have been calling you. So keep that info. You'll get a lot more enrollments because of it. A couple other quick things. Sold somebody final expense, talk to them about Medicare. Maybe they're 62, 63. Maybe they're already on Medicare. But go back and hit those people. Same thing. If you find a final expense agent that doesn't write Medicare plans, go after them. Tell them you pay them. You can. Tell them you want to talk to the people that are 65 and older that they know, or if they run into somebody. Here's another one: is put your contact information on your email and text signatures. Remember, we're salespeople, we're brokers. I get a lot of people that they'll send emails and they don't have their contact info on there. You got to have it on there, especially if you're soliciting people. If you want them to be able to contact you as easy as humanly possible, have your info on there. Email, text, anytime you communicate with them, make it easy for them to get back in touch with you. Have very obvious business cards. So a lot of times, my card's a good example of this. The Crowe & Associates card, what do? We work with agents. We train. We provide contracts and services to agents. The card's not obvious. If you're in the Medicare business, make it really obvious what you do. A lot of times we look at cards, mine included, and it's not obvious what we do. Make sure it is. Have other giveaways with your contact information. If you have giveaways, try to get your contact information on them if you can. And then I mentioned this before, but keep strong relationships with agent managers for the carriers. In the course of doing business, things are going to go wrong. Sometimes it'll be their fault, the carrier's fault. You'll think it's the carrier's fault. Maybe it's your fault. I've had it many times where I've been super mad at somebody and turns out it was because I screwed something up. But I promise you stuff will go wrong, but don't burn bridges. In our business, people get pissed. They get angry all the time. They'll yell at the agent manager. Be the nice person. It will pay off for you down the road because they get so many people that get mad at them and are angry with them. They remember the ones that don't get angry during those tough times, and they can help you a great deal. So being nice in this business can get you places. All right. Woo, that was a long one. I'm done. Let's see if we have any questions. So we'll send out the recording to everyone. You can watch all our training videos on YouTube at Crowe Medicare. And let's see if we got some questions. We do. I'm with you on Starbucks. Thank you. I mean, Starbucks, I don't know. I know some people love it. I just think it tastes overcooked. It's too expensive. Anyway, so thank you. I like that. Somebody said I get ads like the above daily. Any value in those? I apologize. I don't really know exactly what you're referring to, like with the ads question. Feel free to give me a call or email me, and I'd be happy to talk to you about it. It's just out of context because I didn't look at the questions until now. Somebody said, last question is, we clearly are not doing this now. The question is, if we were to launch a marketing campaign for this, given our low skill levels, can you help us with case design and product selection? And again, I wasn't answering till the end. Yes, but I mean, regardless of what it is, I do that all day long and absolutely can. I've done just about everything in this business, sometimes really well, sometimes initially horribly bad, very poorly. But I figured it out over time, and yeah, I certainly could help. What's this next question? Also, what volume of these do you think we would need to do to make this a viable product segment? If you're referring to Medicare, it's just a quick math equation. I mean, you could, you just do the math. The CMS max commissions are listed, so the math works and it's recurring revenue, and you can make a lot of money in Medicare. I mean, that's why it's so popular. Oh, I see. I had my questions out of order here. Okay, so we are currently operating a successful warm transfer call campaign for life. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Medicare. I'm sure there's a question there. Let's see. We got anything else? Can you explain the SEO a little further? Yeah. So SEO just means when people search online, whether it be Google search, usually Google, but through any method, increasing your SEO just means when they search for a term that you come up. So searching through search, organic search, you come up in the search results. And that can be done. That's doable. And I can teach you that on the SEO. It certainly has its limitations, but it can be done. Okay, next question. Which lead strategy would you recommend for those new to the business trying to build a book as quick as possible? It depends. I would say if you're experienced, seminars, I think are a great way. Let me take that back. The fastest way is phone, but that's a skill. It's a real skill set. You can enroll tons of people quickly with phone sales, but that's not something you can just jump into. It takes some doing. That aside, I would say if you're experienced and know Medicare well, seminars to me work really well. If you don't know Medicare well and you're new to the whole thing, then it should probably be retail to start. People have different opinions than I do there, but that's my suggestion. I feel like you have to have a good amount of knowledge to do the dinner seminar. How detailed is the presentation? It is not that detailed because you got to remember your audience. They don't understand it. So the people that do a dinner seminar and get into great detail, it's not going to work. You want to keep the presentation about 30 minutes, and it should be simple, concise, and easy for them to understand. If you get too into the weeds, they're going to glaze over and you're going to lose them. That is definitely, I have a segment on that in my best practices. On YouTube, it's the seminar best practices, and we talk about that. I go over that. And we can send you a sample presentation. You'll see it's very basic. It should be 30 minutes or less. All right. See if we got any other questions here. It looks like that's it. Yeah, I'm sorry. Those questions earlier on you were asking, I just don't know the context of it. So I'm sorry. Feel free to give me a call. I'd be happy to talk to you about that. But it was a question that was asked as I was going through the presentation. Other than that, if there's no other questions, it looks like there aren't. I appreciate you coming on today. Thank you very much, and hope everybody has a great day, and maybe I'll see you on a future seminar, or webinar rather. Thanks.